Refresh Franchising, the heroic choice for entrepreneurs. Proud sponsor of the Distilled Wisdom podcast.
If you don't have experience running a business, don't start a business, buy a franchise.
Right. To have that support behind you, especially your first time.
Right.
I mean, that's invaluable. Franchises are a lot better to deal with. They're nicer. They have more fun. They're more chilled out.
It's like getting paid to go to college. All right, back for another one from IFA in Phoenix. We're at the IFA convention, and I am now meeting with Jason Horowitz of EventPrep. Jason's the first franchisee in the EventPrep network, and we're going to hear from another franchisee. I'm excited because I end up with a lot more franchisors and suppliers, but coincidentally, Jason's also kind of a supplier. So Jason, thanks for joining me on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, pleasure.
Appreciate it.
So, tell me a little bit about you, where you grew up, how you started in business, and like what led you into franchising.
So, grew up South Florida, and just knew I always wanted to be in the hospitality business. So, going into college, already had my major lined up. Lucky for us in town, we had the number 2 college in the country for hospitality, which worked out great at FIU. So it cost me very little, and I got a great education. I also know it's kind of one of those, I love people, and I knew they would never fully automate hospitality. So I thought perfect business moving forward, right? So I found out they don't pay you a lot, and they work you very hard, but
What was your first role in hospitality?
Front desk.
Okay.
I had dreams. I had my vision of one day becoming a general manager, and I figured operations would be kind of the way to get there. So started a front desk, and from there, over 15, 18 years of different job types, sales. I did everything but housekeeping and engineering because I didn't want to work that hard. So keep it to the easier stuff. Fell in love with food and beverage, was in culinary for a little while, and then found myself in the event side of it, which is actually how I met our franchisors, Paul and Steve. They were my clients. Paul used to be the National Guard, did an 800-person recruiting seminar at my hotel. We met. He approached me about a business opportunity to come work for him with his first company. Just got married. Wife just got pregnant. Couldn't deal with a startup. Didn't want to take the chance to see my insurance.
So he was offering you an employed role?
Yeah, an employment role with Federal Conferencing, his first company. Said no. Watched him go to Inc. 500's number 2 fastest growing company in the country while I was waving goodbye. No, we kept in touch. We really had a great relationship. So we kept in touch over years. I did some consulting work for him. One day he came to me and he said, "Hey, Jason, I got this great idea. Finally work together and I don't have to pay you." And I said, "Yeah, Paul, doesn't sound like a great idea to me." And then he explained the whole EventPrep idea.
For somebody that doesn't understand what EventPrep does, what does EventPrep do?
So we assist our customers in finding locations for their meetings and events. That's the easiest way to explain it. You're having a conference for 200-300 people. Instead of you or one of your people sitting on the phone, dialing every hotel they can possibly find in the city they want to go to and hoping there's availability, trying to figure out if it works for them, getting the best contract terms, we do it all for you. The benefit beyond taking the time away and the stress from those people, we do it for no charge to our customer because the hotels pay us a commission. So it's an absolute win-win. We don't take away any decisions. We don't do anything other than provide you with the best possible information for you to make the best possible decision. Set up site visits if you want to go. So we really do all the front end work. Then once we've selected a hotel together, I negotiate the contract terms for you. And all that, like I said, there's no charge to our customers. On the other side of it, we also do full meeting planning services. I've got 4 or 5 a year that I actually do the full service for. Where I met you, Springboard, started working with Lane, who actually was our lawyer for EventPrep.
Okay.
That's how we know him. Gave us a call to run that event for him. So we didn't do the site selection because it was already done. He had lost somebody, needed help. So we did all the planning, and now we're doing everything for him.
It was a great event. You did a good job.
Yeah, it was fun. Some late nights. Yeah. Definitely some late nights.
Definitely a social vibe.
Yeah. But that's how, like I said, that's how I was able to meet you and a bunch of other people. And it's a great event. It was fun to be a part of. And now this year, at least I get a lot more time to plan it with him because he's not calling me 3 weeks out before it happens. So that's the primary what we do. With my background, it was a natural fit just because I've been through almost every department of a hotel, including the sales.
Well,
so
can I pry a little bit? Just out of
go
curiosity.
for it.
So the planning, that's not free, right?
No, the planning's not, and that's because the amount of time that goes into it. Yeah, you're talking about days upon days of banquet event orders, resumes, food and beverage, you name it. And it all depends on the complexity. I always say I'm not a lawyer. Once I pick up the phone, I don't charge you. And I do a lot of stuff probably that most people wouldn't, and I don't nickel and dime my folks, but it's really doing everything from soup to nuts for you if you wanted that.
Yeah, that would be my next question is how much of it do you do every part of it, or do you just put together like options for them? What would that look like for somebody that wanted to throw an event together, right?
Sure.
Have you do it from start to finish, find the location, they give you a head count, and what else they have to provide for you?
So always just need to know your basic specifics to start, right? How many people are attending, how many rooms you need, what does that pattern look like? Is it a 2-day, 3-day, 4-day meeting, etc.? You're doing exhibits, meetings, meals. I get all the basics of the actual event. Take that and then put it together for you. What I don't do is content, right? I can't do a company's content. I don't know what you're pushing. I mean, the good thing is I work with probably a dozen franchises. So 99% of the time they follow the same structure. So meeting wise, exhibit wise, that kind of stuff. The content though is different for each one, although they usually standard. Here's your accounting, line. Here's your operations line, and they're all kind of following the same education pieces. But I've helped 2 now build from scratch for franchises. I've done others, but the franchise wise, 2 of them just built from scratch, going from what is your goal, right? What's your goal and objective? How long do you want to take to do it? And then where do you want to do it? And the nice thing is I can source every city in the world at one time. I wouldn't.
Right.
But the fact is, it opens up opportunities. A lot of first time meetings will want to stay in their hometown, right? Because it's cheaper for their staff. Everybody's in that area. They, the only people flying in are the franchisees. But then as they grow and progress, they want to start moving it closer, right? East, west, or east, center, west, or however it works. And so the nice thing is, instead of you only looking at one city because you don't have time, I can say, let's say we're doing Colorado. I can look at Colorado Springs. I can look at Denver. I can look at all that at one time.
And just to clarify for the audience, we're talking about the conventions for internal franchise networks. So an example would be all of the Dunkin' Donuts on the West Coast having a convention in Phoenix where we're at.
Right. Or if you're listening to Dunkin' Donuts, your entire company's worth of meetings.
Right.
But the fact is, we would take a company's meeting and however they do it. I've got one that does 8 events a year. We're 4 regionals, so they move that around to the 4 different regions of the country, and then they have 4 board and committee meetings all over so that they can get closer to those people and draw those attendees. So some things work better regionally. I have some that we just do, and I've got one event Orlando every year. Make it easy. Everybody flies in. Gets a little stale sometimes, but yeah, I mean, that the benefit is I can look anywhere. And that's where I think people lose the options because they don't have that type of time to find the best value in the best location. It's just literally, oh, you do have availability. All right, take it, put it, and then they get the contract. They don't realize they signed something that's not beneficial.
Yeah, and you do it for a living, so you're able to spot that stuff pretty quickly, right?
Yeah, even a simple word. It doesn't matter if it's the same company contract because they're all different, right? They have different ownerships. I read every clause line by line, and I'll look for even that one word that just says may and change it out, so it's a big benefit to have us on their side because this is what we do for a living. And on top of it, we have buying power, right? I think I did $5 million with Marriott last year. So, it's a little different than one event coming to Marriott, right? So it's just, I don't know. I love what I do.
Just out of curiosity, do you help them with entertainment sourcing?
I can. We don't typically, but I do have, funny you say that. I just brought on a new franchise, and that was one of their questions is, can I? So we have a network. I mean, we have agents we can reach out to. We have speaker bureaus we can reach out to, but same people they can. But I just do it because I can and I do.
Right.
Yeah. It's a nice service that I don't have to provide, but why not?
Do you network with those circles too? That's got to be cool too if they do have guest speakers and stuff. So I'd imagine you get to meet some of them, right?
Oh, I've met, let's see, Shaquille's mom, Lucille O'Neill. She was speaking at an engagement. What is that comedian's name? He used to be on Saturday Night Live. Real dry sense of humor, and I can't think of his name right now. It'll come to me probably after you turn this off. But I got to literally spend an hour with him in my office. He was doing his jokes in my office. I had to print them up. Of course, I saved them on my computer, right? Yeah. I'm like, this is cool. Let's see. I've sports players, Jerome Bettis, Eddie George. I've met Dwight Howard. I mean, you name it. Hillary Clinton. Not saying I like her. I don't. Just saying. But so there's been a lot of different.
Did she smell like sulfur? No, I'm kidding.
She was a little too low for me to. But yeah, so it's a fun business on the hotel side. Now, what I do, I don't get to as much because I'm not as involved with the actual conferences. Sure. Most of what I do is the site selection. Small handful, I'll do the actual event planning, and but we can help with all of it. I mean, we try.
So what's EventPrep's franchise model look like? Because it sounds like you're able to sell openly. You don't have like protected territory there,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, it's unique because we'll have a bunch of franchises ask that. Well, what if I go here? Well, I go with you. What about your territory? No. So the only time our actual territory matters is, let's say you went on our website and, hey, I'm interested in a meeting. I'm out of Ohio. You know, can you connect
for
me?
Lead gen.
Yeah, only if it goes through our company.
Mm-hmm.
If it goes direct to us, it doesn't matter where it comes from. So we source everybody, anybody. So it really doesn't matter regionally because we really generate our own leads more than anything. So our site's just there really with our bio and stuff. If you really,
I'd imagine lead gen is exactly what we're at right now. As you doing conventions, networking, and
that's why. I mean, Springboard was a big thing for me. I got to meet a lot of people like yourself and spoke to a few of them. I actually already started planning 2 events out of Springboard alone, just because you put a good showing on and people realize the service is great and they take advantage of it.
So that IFA will probably hate me talking about this, but what's the necessary return you got to get out of one of these events to break even? You don't have to tell me a dollar amount, but like how many leads would you say you have to generate for the event to make sense for the cost of the event?
So as a franchisee, our franchisor makes us pay to come, which is totally fair.
Right.
The first time we went, he did it, and I thought he was crazy. I'm like, we're the ones benefiting more than anything, right? So when he mentioned
it's like your marketing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So when he mentioned a couple of years ago he was going to have to charge, I was like, look, I wasn't going to say anything, but I've been waiting for you to say that. So I, honestly, depends on the group, but usually if I get one lead, I've already more than paid for what I pay for to be at IFA.
Now, do you guys co-op this? Like when you do stuff like this?
So we have a protected lead list, right? Because the same franchisees come every year, because after you've done the first one, you can't keep sending different ones.
Right.
Because we've already started to build a network with people here. So we have what we call protected lists. Like I've already talked to these people. I'm already working with these people, et cetera. So we stay away from those. I mean, we may talk to you. You may walk up because I'm busy and talk to somebody, but in the end, it'll come back to me. And then we break up the list of attendees, and then we say, okay, we can market those, you market those. If you don't get anywhere, they stay as open leads. And then we just kind of work together at the booth regardless. We started a fun little thing 2 years ago with a key in the bag, right? And it's in there this year too. It's a little red key. You bring it to our booth. It could open a box for $500 in cash. Easiest way to bring people in, right? It's money. Who doesn't want it?
Bribe them.
Okay, how rich you are. $500 cash, I'll take it. Don't have to report that, right? But it worked. So I want to say the last 2 years in a row, we were the most visited booth, however they run their statistics in the show floor. Because everybody, the first year, I think we only got about 25% of the keys. Like people just say, you open your bag, you dump it all out, and you're like, whoopee. Then they started hearing about what it was. And the next year, I had people coming with 5-6 keys from their company. There was one girl who was literally collecting from people leaving the show. She's like, do you have a key? And she would come with 10 at a time, and she would try to open it. And it's funny. So out of 3,800 keys, I think 6 opened the box. So first year, first guy opens it. We were waiting all day. It's like the end of the day, first day, and the guy opens the lock. And the irony is it wasn't his key. Somebody was leaving and gave him this key, and he opens it up. And so we had air horns, and we're shooting off these air horns. One of the franchisors was coming from the bathroom. For whatever reason, he had the air horn in the bathroom. He's running out of the bathroom, shooting his air horn off. And then after that, IFA shut us down with the air horns. But we have a good time, and we were celebrating. Like every time somebody turned the key, we were all like, everybody's watching. Is it going to work? Is it going to work? So first year, I think 2 people opened it. Second year, only 1, because again, half of them are just throwing it away. But it just creates a little excitement at the booth. And I remember this poor little telecommunications company next to us, and they're just watching us. We'd have 20 people at our booth. They had nobody. Eventually they just left. And I'm just like, you're not really having fun, they're not going to come. So we just like to create the energy. And look, we're event planners. I mean, we're full of humor and fun and just what we do.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Citizens of distilled wisdom, gather around and listen up. If you're a fan of the show and want to join forces with its host, Adam Ferricane, then Refresh Franchising is the perfect choice for you. So gather your courage, summon your inner superhero, and visit refreshfranchising.com to launch your heroic franchise journey. Refresh Franchising, the heroic choice for entrepreneurs, proud sponsor of the Distilled Wisdom podcast.
I love it. So you were the first franchisee in the network.
Yes.
You kind of described how that came. He approached you and then he convinced you that he's not going to pay you. And
yeah. So, and a little bit more about that. So my wife trusts nobody, especially when it comes to financially, right? She didn't even trust an accountant with money. And she'd gotten to know Paul and Steve and known the type of people they were, our franchisors, Paul Trapp, Steve Davis. Truly the most unbelievable people you'll ever meet. It's not about being a great business. It's not about being a great owner, franchisor, none of that. They're really good, down-to-earth people. And my wife got to know them over time just through me. Mm-hmm. And when Paul called me for the opportunity, she immediately said yes. And I knew I was in good hands at that point. I'd been in the hotel business for many years. I wasn't burnt. I had already passed burnt out. And it's like the kind of like when you get overexhausted, you just wake up again. But I was in a good role, happy where I was when Paul called me, and he called me to come to help build the brand. He knew my experience. We had a great relationship. He thought, who else better? I show up for training the first day, and there's another person, and this is where you and I were talking earlier. And the other franchise number 2 is in there. And so we've kind of always had this running joke of who's 1, who's 2. Obviously, I signed first, so even on paper, I'm number 1. But in my signature line now, just to mess with her, I put EventPrep's first franchise, just so every time she gets an email from me, she remembers I'm number 1. And I am both as a documented contract number 1. I'm also the number 1 performer, so I rub it in as much as I can.
Nice. Did they offer you any incentives for being the first one to adopt it?
Yeah, I had a special deal to get through that first year of growing pains, right? Part of my fee was really the time I was going to put in extra to help build processes, education. I do training for them. I do what they call the hotel 101 part. So, Paul's really keen on entrepreneurs in general, not just hotel salespeople, not just third parties. People who are driven by business, who have a natural sales ability, but also understand the customer service part. And I want to get back to that in a second. And so what I do is, if I would teach a class, if you've got, like, we at the beginning had a couple franchise that came in that really just didn't have any hotel knowledge, right? They knew about hotels, but so I would do what was called the 101 class, and I would literally go department to department. This is how you would manage these on your contract. This is what you look for. Make sure you have this, et cetera, et cetera. And I'd help them understand what the salesperson on the hotel side is going to come at them with, and what affects their group, and how to maneuver around that contractually, concessions to ask for, based off what your group needs are. And all that. But the other thing is just how to treat the hotel. I've seen a lot of third parties attack the hotels, right? I'm a very much more bees with honey, right? Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of people who do what I do on the other on other companies that just go after them, like, well, I'm the customer, so you're giving me what I want.
That doesn't work in anything.
It doesn't at all. And that it works to a point. But I also find when I need to squeeze that last sweet upgrade or that last
fine, I'll give it to you.
Right. I've annoyed them with kindness, but at least I haven't annoyed them with anger, right? So instead of saying, no, we can't do it, I usually get that last bit that I need to make the customer happy. And I've always learned that. And that goes back to my philosophy of relationships in general. And my big aha moment, I always based off of what I did off of my relationships. Like, to me, it was always relationship first, business will follow. I always think you'll do business with somebody you like. So I always focus on that first. And so 2 parts to that story. So the aha moment was I went to work for the Mouse in Orlando. And
the Mouse as in Disney?
Yeah, those guys. And I remember we
don't say their word.
I don't like that word. No.
Okay.
Steamboat Willie, it's free now, right? Yeah. So I remember we all had to take this class called The Journey. Anybody in sales and conference services took this class called The Journey. And the very first thing you learn is to cross the river of no trust. It was all about building a relationship. So that was, I remember in my mind, that was always what I believed. And then I get to Disney and they say it too. And I'm like, oh, well, that's got to be right, right? I mean, Disney says it. And so I've always just kind of followed that, that style of business, right? I'd rather talk to you like this, right? Let's talk. And then one day you're going to have a conference and go, oh yeah, Jason's great. I'm going to call him up.
You're already at the top of my list because of your pro.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, it's kind of a no-brainer for me at this point. And that's what it was. It was the personable conversation. Right. I want to work with people that I want to work with.
Exactly, right?
I don't really...
Very non-transactional.
I turn away customers. You know, life's too short.
Right.
And it's not all about the bottom line all the time.
Exactly.
It's you have to enjoy what you're doing. And if they're going to make your life if they add any amount of stress whatsoever to your life, I need to evaluate very heavily.
It's the emotional cost of business, right?
Yes.
There is money, but then there's also pleasure and not, right? And there's folks I work with that it's kind of at a border. Like, do I want to continue this because of the way they are? I just like to have fun. Like, I need somebody who's going to laugh and enjoy themselves because that's my goal, right? My goal is to take all that stress off you so you can chill out, right? I mean, you shouldn't have to be so tense about the meeting. Like, let somebody else deal with the major stuff while you're working on the meat and potatoes, and there you go. It's a happy marriage. And so it's just always how I've operated. In fact, I actually, a long time ago, I was a catering salesperson, so just really selling one-day events for a hotel. And I remember I had this knack for knowing when I got a shop call, right? They pay somebody to shop us, make sure we're doing our job. They had like a 3-page, double-sided list of questions. It was so robotic. And I'm sitting there looking at going, I'm not going to ask all these on a phone call. I can't. Take me 3 hours. So I remember I get this call, and I'm chatting with this person, and I get the major stuff, like name, dates, you know, like the real basics. Within 30 seconds. Info. Yeah, the 30-second relevant info. And if I got it on, we just start talking about our dogs and life and all this weird stuff. And I hang up the phone and I'm like, oh, crap, I just got shot. Because I started remembering, she started asking me a couple questions in between here and there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, that's not good. Because I knew I didn't even touch that paper. So I go to my boss's office. I'm like, hey, Gail. She goes, hey. I said, I think I just got shopped again. She goes, well, how'd you do? I said, I bombed it. She was like, in a good way? I'm like, no. Nuclear bombed it. I said, I got space, rates, whatever. That was it. She goes, all right. I get a call a week later from the person who ran it at that time. And she goes, hey, Jason. I'm like, yeah, I know. She goes, what? I said, I got shopped. She goes, yeah. I said, I did bad. She goes, no. I said, what do you mean? She goes, you got the best score ever. Like, literally hit a historic mark in the company she gave me credit for everything I didn't cover just because of the conversation. It was just the relationship I built within a 30-minute phone call.
That's awesome that they recognize that, right? That they saw the value and the way the conversation went, and that there was more value in that than gathering the stuff we don't really need.
Exactly. Like, to me, that was a done sale. Wasn't a shop call. I made a deal.
Right.
And so that just also further affirmed.
Did they change the questions?
No. I also never got shopped again somehow. I don't know what it was, but yeah, it was just, it's just always how it's been. So, and I also feel like just having that relationship long-term too, I don't just, like, you may be the planner for the company, but not the owner, right? Like, I mean, I work with a very large franchise company where the person I deal with is not the CEO of the company. Right. But I have a really good relationship with the CEO because the truth is people move on. I don't want to lose a customer because I've only made a relationship with one person, right? So my goal is to reach out to everybody and make sure they're all comfortable with me. I want to have a relationship with the CEO, with the planner, with the director of operations, with the VP of this and that. Because eventually...
You don't know who's stepping into that role next.
Right. And the truth is I want them all to be happy with it. I want them to all go, hey, did Jason do this? Thank God, thank God we're using them, and I also want them to be happy. It's actually, so I missed their conference this year. And the first thing out of the CEO's mouth was what? Where's Jason this year? I was on a cruise for my birthday that my wife surprised me with. He didn't know that. She did. But it was so funny that he's asking for me because that's the one thing I'll do is for certain conferences that are large and complex, I'll show up for the first day. I'll give you a helping hand. Like, what do you need? I'll run around for you. Like last year, I was running around with signs for him and easels. He had 20 easels. He kept moving them around. I'm like, all right, buddy, we got to figure this out. Like, where do you want these easels? But that's what I do, and that's why he likes me. And so being able to interact with those C-suite leaders and making sure everybody in the company is comfortable with it, that's just, it's what I like to do.
A lot of times it's a collaborative decision anyway, right?
Yep.
You might have an event planner in the company that handles the event, but they're gonna give feedback.
Absolutely.
The CEO, if they show up and the event's crap, they're definitely gonna say something.
Right. Because
So,
also, guess who the easy scapegoat is?
Right,
The guy who doesn't work for him.
Default's always gonna go somewhere else.
But it's just important to me to get to know everybody. It's relationships. It's everybody. Like, to me, it's a family environment. Let's all get together. Let's all have a quick laugh, a quick drink, a quick whatever. But let's do it together. Because in the end, it's like you said, it's all together, right? I mean, it always runs up to the president and CEO. How did that conference go, right? Did he bring value or did she bring value? And so it all starts with the right place. I mean, if you got an event where you've got a VIP structure to it, right? You need to present the nicest bits and the nicest hotels, or at least the service. I'm not going to put you in a Days Inn, right? I'm not that I would anyways, but the fact is I could put you to standard downtown Marriott property, which is good, has everything you need, but nothing wow. Or we can go to Arizona and go to, La Quinta Resort and all of a sudden you've got all the bells and whistles, full resort, it's beautiful golf course, etc. So, it all just depends on what your goal is, right? But, my goal is to find those places for you to, and add values. Like I have a customer that said, well, we're not going to do Southern California. No way we're going to get our rates. I gave them 5 hotels under their budget because you just hit holes sometimes, right? I mean, so every hotel has a perfect pattern. And if you're in between that perfect pattern, they usually say no, but all of a sudden you fill this amazing hole for them. They're going to drop their pants and give you everything you want. Right. But you wouldn't know that. Right. I mean, and you would also want to have the ability to source them all and find that hole where I can do that.
Now, do you do this just for franchises or do you have clients outside of franchising?
I have outside of, so I guess I didn't really start in the franchise arena until the first IFA pre-COVID, because that's the first time I came here. I also didn't realize we're basically the only franchise model in the industry. There was one before us that, it's my understanding, they've fully dissolved. They have a couple that still operate under the name, but there is no corporate office. There's no brand. It's just the name still exists.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe we're the only full service site selection and event planning franchise. So we realize that the community.
Why do you think that is?
Because nobody wants to buy in to make money in our world, right? Because we work strictly commission-based, if you're not doing any event planning, right?
Right.
Strictly commission-based, who wants to give the money back? But our model's different in the sense that our commission splits are higher than the other guys. So in essence, you're not losing any money. If you're a good producer, you're going to make more because of the fact that's a higher split. If you have $2 million book of business, you're making 20% more than you were making with them. Your franchise fee is more than covered, right?
Yeah, I don't see why you wouldn't make a small investment. I don't know what the franchise fee is. What's the franchise fee for them?
I mean, it was at one point, I think we were at 40. So
it's kind of like the average now across the
board. So if you book $2 million and you're making 20% more, that's covered, and everything else you make is gravy. If you're a good producer like myself, I mean, that's really nothing. That's like a benefit just to have the additional support. One thing Paul always says, you're in business for yourself, but not by yourself. And you've probably heard that term before.
Sure.
It's a big thing he always says, because our office supports us so heavily, giving us the opportunity to come to IFA, and realizing as a marketing option to come to IFA was huge. Buying a booth, we buy the sponsorship. Our names are on everybody's lanyards. Gives us the ability to put the key in the bag, push notifications, right? So it gives us more
that's
marketing.
What I was asking you earlier. So you guys have one booth, right?
Yeah, we have a booth.
But because it's split, how many franchisees are chipping in? So that's got to bring down the cost of the event itself. Right?
Exactly. But then there's I can't remember how much I don't know how much we put as far as sponsorship to IFA to get everything.
Mm-hmm.
But that obviously comes out of the marketing budget on their end and all that. But giving us this opportunity is huge. And so that's where I started putting more of a focus on the franchise world. Because I also find, just in general, franchises are a lot better to deal with. They're nicer. They have more fun. They're more chilled out. They're more organized. Like, you should see some of my planners. Some of them, I just sit there, I hang up the phone, and That's why this is all missing up top. And because I'm pulling it out, like, I can't believe it. But I find the franchise world has just been so much more of a pleasure to work with, right? So I've just, every year I come, I usually pick up 3, 4, maybe 5 new customers or potential new customers when I'm here. And it's because the other thing is I find a lot of franchises don't know we exist, right? They have no idea who we are and what we do. And then they get the opportunity to talk to us. They come literally running with that key, right? They're like, who are you? I got a key, right? And when we talk to them, like, you do what? Oh, that would help, right? It's always, oh, that would be a huge help. Yeah, because Mary, my assistant, is doing that right now. I would love for her to do her work all the time and not this, right? Mm-hmm. So the existence of us to make that known at this conference has led to a lot, but it's just, it's a better community. And I find we tend to like to work with each other, right? We understand each other. That's the other benefit I have is being a franchise. I understand the nuances. I understand the structures. I understand the meetings, how they're going to run, how they should run, what's expected. I know the questions to ask. That I may have a new meeting coming up, like they've never planned one before. They don't even know what to do. I've literally had them come, I don't know what to do, and I will walk them through the whole thing.
Here's what you do.
Exactly.
They all do.
Right. And by the way, here's what I normally see. You don't have to do this, but this is semi-normal. Like, you can follow this structure, and they appreciate it because we know the business. We know where they're coming from on their side.
Yeah, that's highly valuable to a franchisor, especially a newer one, right?
Absolutely.
What are the size of the networks that you usually service, you know? Is it all over the place?
It's from 10 to, I think my largest franchise event is near 1,500 people.
Okay.
Now I also operate with kind of more the umbrella brand that has, 15 brands under them. In total, they have more people than that, but they break it up into these brands, home care brands, or these brands, and they'll split that up. So I don't ever really see them all together.
Ever do full events?
Yeah, like this one does every other year.
Okay.
But that one is, that's one they do on their own. Like they go through a center point for, I think, one of the big brand companies. And that one they've just been instructed to, but all the other ones I get to play with.
Cool.
Yeah. There's some sandbox there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds like a fun role too. That sounds like it'd be a pretty fun business to be in, right?
It is.
I mean, you're dealing with celebrations most of the time.
Right. Yes. A lot of what, especially after post-COVID, things just went crazy. I mean, COVID, I shut down, right? I mean, it was like, we lost a couple franchises because they couldn't find any means to get by. I sold cars. 45-year-old guy calling his dad going, Daddy, I don't know what to do. Like, everything I knew shut down. I grew up in hospitality, hotels, restaurants. Like, that's what I did. Everything closed their doors. And he's like, well, go sell cars. You'll be good at it. He's like, they're open. They're what, I can't remember what they termed them, necessary business or whatever it was. Mm-hmm. So I said, all right, fine. Go sell cars. I made a 6-figure salary in 1 year, won salesman of the year, won rookie of the year in 8 months. I mean, people were looking at me like, who is this guy? And then one day, it was right before IFA, the first IFA after COVID. The Friday before I flew out, I went to the GM of the dealership. I said, all right, I'm gone. And I came to IFA knowing that I'd find customers and reboot. Yeah. I saw my old customers that were starting to, get back, but then I was able to pick up like 4 or 5 new customers.
How long were the events canceled? I mean, I'm not hosting these yet, right?
Close to 2 years. I mean, because you had that whole COVID year, and then you had the aftermath of people still not sure if they wanted to meet, right? They're still scared. And then they slowly trickled, or they would come in like half size and spread everybody out, right? Because you had the 6-foot rule. Mm. But finding a location became very difficult because, everybody canceled and now everybody's scrambling to find a location. Usually the cycle is
pretty sad.
1 to 2 years they're booking out. People start booking 3 to 5 years out because, like, if something else happens, we want to have our locations locked up. And so finding places for new business that was waiting short term was becoming very difficult. It's starting to get better. Look, I have a group that's booked out till 2033 already. Yeah, they're not taking any chances.
That's crazy.
Yep, I've got one I'm working on with 2027. So, I mean, the larger ones, you tend to have to go a little further out because of the space you need. But people are still booked solid through like 2025, 26. It's not easy.
Have you booked anything at that Sphere thing in Vegas?
No, but I was there. I saw you too. Yeah, so we were there. I was telling you about that conference I go to every year for meeting planners called IMAX out in Vegas. And so the hotel companies and the destination management companies, they all pay us to come out, right? They pay for our flights, our room. They want the meeting planners out there because we're literally meeting all over the world. You have Ireland with a booth. You have Korea with a booth. You've got hotels with booths. I probably walk 10 miles a day just in the exhibit hall. Like, you've seen IFA's exhibit hall. Multiply that by like 10, and that's IMAX. Like, it's huge. And anyway, so the hotel company that paid for me to come out brought us to the Sphere to watch U2. Pretty amazing.
I haven't been yet. I've seen some videos online and everything. It looks incredible. Like,
it is. Make sure you don't book the first level. You need to be second level or higher.
Okay.
Because if you have the overhang,
to get the view.
Yeah, we were on the first level and we couldn't see a half of the overhang. But it's pretty phenomenal. But I don't normally book special events. Like, I don't normally book one-timers.
Yeah.
Because I get paid on the commission, right? And if there's no hotel rooms, it doesn't do any good for me. Then I'd have to charge.
Well, there might be a segue into that, helping with event. I don't know, just another.
If I'm booking their full event and they need help finding an offsite, I'll help them.
That's why I was asking if you like book talent and stuff like that. And if you're doing some of the event planning side of things, now I'm just brainstorming some entrepreneurs.
Anyway, you can add money in my pocket. Go ahead.
Right. If you have that network and you have, the agent's numbers, which I know anybody can call them,
sure.
But if you have a relationship with them and you can book events, you can almost organize your own event, just split the door cost with the individuals, find the space.
You could, and I've had friends do that, and it was whether it was wrong place, wrong time.
You got to promote. Too.
Yeah, well, that's the other problem too. Is I wish I had the time that I could do something like that. I don't know if I'd ever want to though. That takes work, and then your butt is on the line, right? Talent doesn't get there. Something happens, and now you are the sole target for that arrow, and I don't want to be that guy.
Fair.
I'd rather help you find it and walk away when it hits the fan. I'd be like, I just found the location. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And the bills still due.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not coming out of my pocket. Yeah. Yeah, no, special events is a special person. That's just, I like the conferences. I like watching 400 people come together and smoothly transition space to space to receptions to, I don't know. I did it for so long on the hotel side. Doing it on this side is so much more fun. Again, I'm not the responsible party, and but it's like you were saying, it's a great job. I mean, I love what I do. I get to travel to places I've never been. I was telling you, somehow I've never been to Phoenix. Don't know how that happened, but just never got a group into Phoenix. But just this year alone, I've already been to Banff, Colorado, all the cold stuff, right? I come from Florida, and everywhere my groups want to go is snowing where we go for site visits. I'm like, this isn't fair. Chicago, I was in Chicago recently. And I'm just like, when I first started, everybody wanted to go to Orlando. I was like, this is great. 2-hour drive from home. I can meet you there, whatever. Now, flying out to snow. Why?
You know who you should think about? Like, try to get in with, 10X, the Grant Cardone convent. I've gone to a couple of those.
Yeah.
There's some value in it, but it's mostly just some selling you courses and crap.
Right.
But if you could plan one of those, he's got crazy turnout.
Yeah.
Right? He's running out like Mandalay Bay. He did one year. I went to that in Vegas, and he had the whole place. Like, it was insane. The amount of people attending that. That would be a huge one.
Yeah. It's funny. Those types of events, though, believe it or not, are not as profitable for me. And the reason being is they don't contract sleeping room. They're all on their own, right? They'll go to a hotel.
I could swear there was room blocks available.
Oh, was there? There may
be.
Like, I deal with a very large real estate group. Let's say he has 2,000 people at the conference. He'll only book like 200 rooms because he doesn't want to be responsible for the shortage if there is one, even though he never has a problem.
Now that I'm thinking about it, you might be right. There might have just been.
There's probably small blocks that he just to give a few, but they usually don't like to be responsible and sign the contract for him. Usually.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it does. Because like IFA, they do room blocks everywhere, but they know that historically
they're going to get.
Yeah, they're not worried about it.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of groups that are like that, but there's also a lot that just won't take the risk.
When they do room blocks, is it even discounted, really?
Yeah, a lot of times it is.
For the person attending, I mean.
So group rates start at 10 rooms at a hotel, right? 10 rooms on a peak night, and it's usually less than what you'll find. On occasion, hotels will still release cheaper rates on Priceline or Travelocity, one of those, because they're contractually obligated to do so.
Okay.
But that's also for like 5 to 10 rooms for that night, right? And there's usually not the same terms. Usually there's a restriction, like a minimum night stay or something, right? So there's a ton of times I get a client shoot me a note going, why is this rate less than ours? Try booking 300 rooms at that rate. See what happens. You're not getting it, right? And there's times, and when that happens, a lot of times we'll just reach out to the hotel saying, look, I mean, we have a lowest group rate clause. Well, I know it's not a group, but what the heck? And a lot of times they'll change it where it'll be like $10 more than the group rate just to satisfy the customer. But it does happen.
I was just curious about that.
Yeah, it happens a lot. There's actually groups that get poached too. You have fake travel agents that will call a big group that they know is coming, like an IFA type of group where it's a citywide, and they will literally start trying to poach attendees and say, oh, we get you a cheaper rate and blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden you pay them the deposit and guess what?
Really?
You don't have a hotel room when you get there. So there's people who target the industry as well. But that's why we're here, is to help protect them from that.
So now I feel, do you do the IFA one? Did you guys do this event?
No, they have their team. They just have their, yeah. I wish we did, but.
Well, I don't feel bad then because I didn't use the blocks. So.
Yeah. Can't hold you to that anyways. You're still a nice guy regardless.
Thanks. I couldn't anyway. I did what I
probably
needed
all sold out.
Well, for the podcast.
Oh.
I needed the space. So, and I'm not doing a freaking suite with the hotels they picked.
Yeah.
That would have been 3 times the cost.
At least.
Right?
At least. Yeah.
No, thank you. I'll use that for somebody's salary instead.
Right.
Yeah.
Something a little more important.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's a great industry. Like I said, I love what I do. I love doing it on this side because, I used to be the one spoiling all my customers. Now I get to go and get spoiled, right? When I'm going to Banff, went to a hotel and they like gave all me and all my clients like 100-minute massages. I'm like, and then a private cabana by the pool. I'm like, this is much better than me being the one giving it.
I bet the hotels are really nice to you guys too.
Yeah, they are. They want our business because they also see it as.
Do you ever pay for hotel rooms?
Not on site visit.
Okay.
Like if I take a customer there to look at the property, very rarely. Sometimes they do, but and then when I do travel, I won't mention a hotel like Universal Studios in Orlando.
Mm-hmm.
I don't pay for my hotel or tickets to the park when I go. Like it's just, I brought them a few $1 million in business over the last couple of years. So if I'm like, hey, I'm coming with my son, can you hook me up for one night? Sure. Can I get passes? Sure. Here's 2 passes, fast passes, everything. Go for it. I'm like, great. And then there's other ones too where I'll come in town for a group, like one of my groups is in Orlando. I'll go there. I'm like, hey, can I get yes? So there's a lot of times I can travel. I get hotels always inviting me out to stay with them for a couple of nights. I stayed in Hawaii for 6 nights free just because I'd not been there and I was booking a large group out there in Maui, but I had a relationship, not a bad one, a business relationship with the salesperson for one of the other brands in Waikiki. And I'd known her for years. And she goes, well, when are you coming out for a site visit? I'm like, no offense. I'm not going to fly 8 hours for like a 2-hour site visit.
Right.
She goes, why don't you come out for 4 nights? Okay. Then I call my friend in Maui. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to Waikiki for 4. Be a really good time for me to kind of do a site there. Yeah, I can give you 2 nights. Great. 6 nights in Hawaii for free.
Not to mention, I'm not sure, again, I'm not a CPA, but I'd imagine your whole trip, right? You're there for business now. It's business travel.
It's all right off.
Yeah.
Yep.
Even the extended period, you're inspecting all 4 days.
I did a site inspection, both properties. It was business. Yep. The other days were just to adjust to time.
Mm-hmm. Love it.
But it's the perk, right? It's the fun perk of what I do.
So it sounds like you love what you do, Jason. You and I were talking off the show or a little bit earlier. Well, what's next for you, though? Do you plan on doing any other types of investments? Do you see yourself moving into other areas of business? Or
yeah, I've looked at it, and I will put a disclaimer: this is not for brokers to start calling me. I have considered branching out to another type of franchise and kind of spreading my wings that way and owning multiple franchises, both my own and then another, which would be more of a gift to my wife, so she can run it for me. But
do you have a direction you're thinking? Are you looking for something that complements what you're doing now, or are you thinking about mixing up and doing something completely different?
And something that's more of an interest than this just worked for me because it's my background. I've always been in hotels, so work. So something maybe that's more of a passion, right? Like we love animals, so maybe we look at that route somewhere in the animal realm. My wife likes all the girly stuff, so maybe we go something in that route. Like, this really cool candle making franchise or something that she would be more interested in because she would be the one really running it more than me. So we haven't really landed on it, but that was one thought. And then the other thought was just like everybody else, go into real estate and try to make $1 million there. But again, that would be her baby as well. Cause I would never leave what I'm doing. She'll tell you, I won't ever give her a customer. Like I'll let her do all the work on the back end, but I like what I do too much. I love the interaction with the people. So I probably work too hard because of that, right? Like I'll make sure I'm constantly like doing that. Even when I'm away, when I have free time on my computer, I was like, don't answer the email. Just tell me what's going on with this, right? And I'll answer the email. And so she'll have to be the one doing that because I just won't ever give that part up. I just can't. It's why I went into the business. It's just the people part.
Well, you definitely know enough people to figure out the best one if you do another franchise.
Yeah, I seem to be around a few. Yeah.
I think you know enough about the space to vet it properly and everything. So
Exactly. Yeah. And there's a couple I work with currently that there's interest there in my mind. They don't know it yet. But
shit, you might even be able to negotiate if you stay out of the broker network. So there you go, brokers. Sorry. If you're going to buy one that uses broker networks, go in and
right.
Hey,
cut that guy out. I didn't say that. No,
they technically can't do that anyway. The franchisors can't show favoritism. So I'm kidding. Anybody that's thinking about buying one of my franchises, I legally cannot do that.
Yeah, it's a consideration. I mean, but then my other thought is, do I just grow this even more? It's just because I love doing it and, be able to do more and more. Although the travel is starting to get a little exhausting. Like I'm literally, I remember it was last week. I think I came home Saturday, flew out Sunday, and I said, hi, honey, hi, son, slept, bye, see you later. That part can get a little, I was joking around with my wife, it was yesterday. I said, I'm finally going to hit top, platinum executive for American Airlines. Never passed gold before. And I'm sitting there looking at this going, what's going on here? We just bought our tickets. So we do a summer family cruise every year.
Yep.
And we're going out of Amsterdam. We just bought our tickets with points. And all of a sudden I've already got 150,000 points again. I'm like, what happened? I just bought those tickets. I just drained my account. I can now buy 5 more flights. What happened? But it's enjoyable to me because of the places I get to go. I do miss the family, and that's always been the biggest thing. I remember when I stopped working for the man and I started working for myself, man. The funniest moment is my wife came to me once. She goes, hey, can we go do this or whatever? And I turned to my side. I said, can I go? Yep, we can go, right? And nobody to ask but myself. And the amount of time I get to spend with my family, I miss so much of my son's sports and school and just everything. I wasn't there. And so to be able to be home and to be with them.
Now you can dictate your schedule at least. You still have to travel, obviously. And
right.
But
so if I go to a new venture, how is that going to look? Or do I just build mine? And at least with what I do now, I'm still home.
Yeah.
That's the best part is, do I need to take a break for 2 hours and take my son out for a quick lunch on a day off? Or if he's sick, I can take care of him and I can help around the house. And my wife actually just quit her 9 to 5 3 months ago to help me. And she wanted to be home with him. And so it's nice to be able to do that. So it's truly a family affair now, which is what I love about franchising too, because you always find that a lot of times in the franchise world, franchises are owned by families. And, I do these shows. And
yeah, I mean, I've been doing my profiling, right, on what we're looking for out of a franchisee. And it's funny. It's the polar opposite of who I am. Right? Essentially,
I don't want myself.
No, I don't. I would make a horrible franchisee. Nobody wants to sell me a franchise. Trust me. I'm a builder. So,
right.
I'm not the one that follows your rules. I challenge your rules and then.
Yep.
Different personality.
Exactly. Non-conformative.
Yeah, definitely. I'm the guy that, they booted out of school, I'm not the one that just, okay, anybody give him a directive.
Not the yes man.
Yeah. But so I'm looking for the polar opposite, and I'm looking for exactly that, right? It's the husband-wife team is probably the most ideal, for my model.
Right.
Service focus, them operating as a unit. Taking I'll take care of this. Will you stay home with the kids? That type of thing. Right. And they get to experience what you were just describing. And honestly, that's awesome to me. That's heartwarming to me because it'll give them that liberty to do that, that they don't have working, with mom working in this job and dad working in this job and them trading position, watching the kids
Right.
and never being home together and so on and so forth.
Yep.
That's something I get to contribute by, helping them. So I'm looking forward to that.
It's the best thing possible for, I think, anybody who's a hard worker and just is smart enough to run their own business. Be home with your family, enjoy that time. There's a picture of me, I think in the book I'm going to give you from Paul and Steve, there's a picture of me and my son next to each other, and we're both pointing to the back of our shirts. It's the first season I was able to coach my son's baseball team because I was home. Like,
Right.
It was so cool to be able to do that. And that's one of the reasons why I'm so loyal to Paul and Steve, is just what they gave me was like a whole new life, right? The ability to be home, be a part of that, work my own business, make more money, twice as much as I'd ever make in a hotel because of their pay structure. But to do it on my own terms, to do it at home, literally I could pick up and go anywhere with my laptop and still do my job.
You have freedom.
Exactly. There's so much of that. And I think anybody who's looking to be a franchisee or a franchisor, that's just this business model I think it just opens up your life, makes it so much easier, so much better. You look at the cost of your body, your health, the aging I did in a hotel.
You have stress, right? You're still running a business, and there's going to be a lot of stress. Actually, you'll have way more stress initially.
But it's your own stress.
But yeah, you get to control it.
Exactly.
It's yours. You own it. So you have to be that individual that's going to own it.
Exactly.
But if you do,
you're not giving it up.
Yeah. But if you do, you can mitigate it, and you can end up with more liberty on your end, right?
More liberty, more reward.
Yeah.
I think just emotionally it's more rewarding because I've got days in recent days that I am just like ready to just take a nap at 2:00 because I'm just done. I'm fried. I've stressed out. I've had enough. I'm ready to pop a cork and just say, forget it. But I push through because I know at 5, 6, 7, whenever I'm done working, that at the end I'm sitting with my family. I wouldn't have done that. If I was in an office, I probably would have stayed in the office. I would have kept working.
Right. What's the alternative?
Right. The hotel world, it was always, I may have a group in now, but what's next? The next one's coming in. I don't get a day off after working 8 straight. And now it's like, if I want the day off, I take the day off. I put the out of office on. If it's urgent, call me. I'll tell you. All my customers know if it's urgent, I will get on that phone with you. I don't care. I was in Hawaii working, I was on cruise ships. I don't sleep when I'm on vacation. So at 5 a.m, I'm sitting on the cruise ship typing away, whatever I can do to get that stuff done. So I don't ever fully disconnect, but I can. And that's the difference. If I want to, I turn it off.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I pretty much treat it the same way. But I do disconnect occasionally.
You have to.
Yeah, there are a few of those times where it's literally, nope. No, there are no calls coming through. Yep. That's important to do from time to time. But yeah, even when I go on vacation, most of the time, I'm still checking our Slack channels. I'm still at least monitoring from a distance. I may not engage,
right,
but I'm still keeping a pulse.
It's that high level view. Is it going right? And for me, it's the events. I mean, I'm usually less stressed if I don't have anything going on, like when I'm on vacation, right? If I have an event going on, then I'm watching and going, all right, please tell me the hotel doesn't mess up. Please don't mess up. Please don't mess up. And I'll look for those. But yeah, I'm usually a lot more disconnected where when I used to go on vacation, I felt obligated. And now it's just.
Well, in your industry, too, you probably have stretches where there's absolutely no events. Like you got the holidays, right?
Yeah,
I'd imagine there's absolutely nothing between Christmas, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and maybe New Year's.
Well, most people don't do New Year's anyways because you've got closing of the years and then nobody meets
year end.
You can usually you go to Florida in the first week of January, you're gonna get the best rates you ever can because nobody's traveling.
Yeah.
New Year's is dead period. Christmas is fairly dead.
So you actually get your holidays just handed to you on a silver
absolutely.
platter.
Unlike before where. Heck, I mean, if you have a German group coming in, they don't care if it's Thanksgiving, they're going to meet. They don't celebrate it. So it's fine.
Right.
Yeah, or you're working all the way up to it anyways. And because you're getting ready for the one that's coming in after the holiday. And so the freedom you have, this like we were saying, the stress you build is your own stress. And it's easier to control when somebody's not putting that stress on you, you're putting it on yourself. And then the freedoms, the holidays, the weekends. Like if I want a weekend, I usually get weekends like where I don't have to do a thing. I'll monitor, but I usually don't have to do a thing. or I can handle it later. I very rarely get the emergency call on a Sunday, right? It's so, it's brought such a difference in my lifestyle. I mean, I remember one month, I think I had a half a day off in February, one month in Orlando because of season. Like, you just kept going.
Yep.
So I always recommend anybody own your own business. If you have the right mindset and the ability, just do it. Some of it you figure it out. There's stuff I've figured out. Like we were talking earlier, like I realized I am not a money guy. I'm hiring the CPA. I'm hiring a payroll company. I don't want to deal with it. Don't want to think about it.
You focus on what you're good at.
Exactly.
You focus on your strength, and you hire
some right else. Exactly. That's what you do, right? You if you're strong at it, you do it. If you're not, find somebody who is and do it for you. And that's what I do. And it's worked for me. I'm not a huge business, but as what I do, I've got an amazing book of business. I'm doing very well for myself. And it's all mine. And that's the big difference, right? It's all mine. There's nobody there.
Do you ever question doing a franchise versus starting your own business? I always push people, and I bring this up in the show all the time. And I keep telling it, if you don't have experience running a business, don't start a business, buy a franchise.
Right.
And I say it over and over. And people, I have friends. I have a friend that's starting a business right now. I'm not going to go into specifics because I'll probably piss him off. I'm actually going to see him soon. But he's starting a business. Do you know how many times he's called me for advice?
None.
Once.
We've
had one phone.
Is that the one that said, should I start a business or buy a franchise?
No, but he decided the type of franchise he wanted to do, and he was going to purchase, or I think he did purchase an existing business, very, very small business. Regardless, he has full access to ask me anything at any point.
And he doesn't.
And it would be just 100% just me helping him, right? And we've had one conversation, and he has now quit his job, and he's out on his own. Again, I'm not going to go into all this. He's probably going to end up watching this. Yeah. And so I don't know. I don't even know if I should talk about it. But that's what I told him on the phone. I made suggestions. I even told him I can help you vet because I'm not the right franchise for him, and I'm not selling where he lives. So I'm like, I'll help you vet him. I'll help you find him. And he's capitalized. The guy
nice to have a hand like that reach out to you.
And he has he's dating one of my best friends. So, she's like, call him, and anyway, but that was the conversation with it. And I tried to steer him in that direction with franchising, and he's capitalized for it. He had money put up. I'm not going to go into his finances and everything. But he was in a position where he could easily go get an SBA loan and buy a franchise, be fully capitalized, and, start it with systems and support where they would guide him through it. And honestly, I don't know if he weighed that seriously or not. And I don't understand why so many people, I don't know what it is. Is it the royalty? Like, what throws them off on the...
Well, so I think part of it is if they think in their mind they want their own business, they don't realize owning a franchise is basically owning your own business. I think in their head, some people think, well, I'm still working for the man, where you're really not. You're abiding by certain rules and regulations that are set forth by the brand because they have a standard
to help protect you and the brand.
Right. So, but you don't work for them. Do you report to them? Sure. They want to know your financials. You're paying royalties, et cetera, et cetera. But to have that support behind you, especially your first time,
right?
I mean, that's invaluable. I mean, for me, I've never considered going on my own for two reasons. One, primarily relationship and my loyalty to them. I would never do that. But the work that it takes to get your own IATA number, to collect commissions, to do this, to do that, the marketing and all. Why do I want to deal with that when I have a central point doing that for me?
It's worth the royalty.
Yeah.
Right?
Like for me, I mean, I can make significantly more money if I didn't, but to have that kind of protection and support and what they did for me and change my life, I would never do it anyways. It's not worth the money I would make with what I have with them. Now, if they retired or they decide to sell the company,
The thing is somebody going into business in my opinion, right? Somebody going into business for their first time, if they're looking at it as they'll make more money if they do it on their own versus they won't.
No,
they're wrong.
No, because they'll pay twice as much for all this stuff because somebody didn't have the bulk purchasing power, have it already streamlined for you. The time it takes to find the right marketing company.
You're adding years on to building your business, literally, depending on the business, but years of additional, and your odds of being successful are drastically declined if you're doing it without the experience or the know-how.
Absolutely. And just the name brand recognition, right? You can open up, I won't say any brand names. Let's say you open up a fast food hamburger place.
Right.
Where are they going if you open up next to the wrong one?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're going to see a name, they're going to go to it. Do I take the chance with you, or do I just go to the one I know? I mean, there's a lot to be said with basically the free marketing, right? You're already buying into the brand, you're paying your franchise fee, whatever. That just comes already with a name, right? I mean, you're paying some royalties.
It comes with customers.
Yes, exactly. That's what I mean.
In many ways, right? It's
right.
either the branding or maybe direct relationships, all depending on the type of franchise. But essentially, your franchisor is going to bring customers to your door.
Correct. Because they may not know you, but they know the name on the door. They already know it, right? It's there. So what a way to start out. And then maybe one day you do, maybe you don't, but
see, that would be my advice to anybody, right? And again, that would have been my advice to my friend which is pretty much what I told him. Go buy one of these specific franchises and get that going, build it up.
Right.
And if you still want to build from scratch, guess what?
It. That's your investment.
You can either keep that and use it and build something else, right? And because they're going to teach you, if you're buying the right franchise, they're going to teach you to where you can grow that to a size where you don't have to be involved in the day-to-day.
Exactly.
And so you can check out of that and build something else. But guess what? Now you're doing it from a really good position with capital, access to money, business know-how.
Right. You've gone through the growing pains with somebody actually supporting you instead of piling up, stacks of papers and notes and you just get.
My last guest, right? Started in business by buying a franchise, found a solution in the franchise, and now has a global franchise network of his own.
Amazing how that works, right?
Right. He was a franchisee, went over to becoming a franchisor, and is in, I think he said 17 or 18 countries.
It's amazing.
Right?
Right.
That's how you do it.
Exactly.
He found a problem he could solve, and he had the business know-how at that point. And I think he had some of the know-how before the franchising,
right.
But yeah, so
it's such a help.
Dip your toe in and learn. It's like getting paid to go to college. It is. It's getting paid to get educated in business.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's a no-brainer. And the fact that we do it differently, being a franchise, it also sets us apart, which is, I think, part of the fun of it is we're in a whole new community of customers that we would never probably infiltrate in general because they do truly.
They appreciate that you're a franchise.
Right. And so I think, but yeah, why would you not want a name? Why would you go on your own? I mean, there's certain things you can do on your own. You can become a mechanic on your own. I mean,
you can set up a job.
Right.
By the way, so I'm in trades, right? I'm in home services.
Right.
And there's two different types of, quote, business owners in home services. You got the self-employed tradesman, and then you have a business owner.
Right.
And they don't understand. They both think they're business owners.
Right. And I've seen both of them at my house.
Yeah. The tradesman is not a business owner. You might be great at the craft.
Right.
And they'll go out, but they have a job. They're just self-employed. They're not business owners.
Yeah.
They think they are, and they think they know it all, too. There's a lot of arrogance sometimes from them, right? Like, oh, I'm a god. I did $300,000 in revenue last year. I'm like, cool.
How many of them sued you?
Well, not necessarily that. They might be really good at it, right?
But they have no idea their profit because they have no idea what they...
Well, exactly.
They don't know the business side of it.
Exactly. They don't know what their margin looks like.
Right.
And my next question would be like, cool, what happens if you go on vacation for a month? How much are you going to make?
Right. Because you don't own a business, you own yourself. That's it. Yeah.
And so when you go on vacation, it all shuts down, and you're going to come back, and you're not even going to have work lined up when you get back because
you weren't lining it up while you were gone.
Yeah.
Right.
So
you're not answering your phone, et cetera. So yeah, I've had both types in my house. Yeah, I just think it's such a benefit to go franchising route in general. It really is.
Because they teach you to own a business.
They do. They bring you out. They give you everything you need, the tools, and they're in constant contact. And when they're big enough, you're getting there. You're ready. Do a conference. You bring them all together. Now all of a sudden, not only are they learning from the brand office, now they're learning from each other. Why are you seeing? They see they see you walk up on stage to collect, an award for, whatever, highest profit margin,
they
whatever.
compete too.
Yeah.
Right?
But now then you have the ones that want to compete against it. So you build healthy competition. But now you have somebody in your own network that I can go talk to. Like, look, I'm close. How'd you overcome that? How did you get over that hump? What got you there?
I can't wait to show how I built that out in the model. There was a lot of thought that went into how we structured that stuff. That I have things like relationship managers in my local market that are going to help with prospecting for them. So they're going to help bring leads right to their door and negotiate deals between the different franchise brands.
That's awesome.
The fact that when they open up, they get to collaborate together in a market. So when you said earlier you're in business,
For yourself, but not by yourself.
Like that literally is at the heart of my model because they're non-competing brands doing different services,
right?
But they're servicing shared clientele. And so they work together and they're all growing their brand as a unit,
right?
And working as a team. So they still get the collaborative team atmosphere, which is almost unheard of as a solo business owner, right?
Yeah.
You still have that collaborative of everybody trying to build each other up. At least that's the vision of it, right? And so when they look for guidance, you'll have your senior people, an example. I have 4 brands and again, different services, but say the first one in the market turns out to be janitorial and they're established in the market for say 2 years, right? When the painting franchise opens up 2 years later, they're going to be right with this person opening it and they're going to be communicating with them regularly, right? There's introductions to the clientele. Think of all the value of adding
learning the
service.
Market. Who's in that market? What are the customers that are there? You've seen them, you've heard them. Yeah.
And it just goes from there.
Sure.
And then when the market gets saturated with the franchisees, they're all going to a weekly lunch or whatever because they're all local. They get face to face
But how valuable is it to learn from, even though they're different brands, right? They fall under the same umbrella, but to be able to call that owner to say, okay, I'm opening, what do I need to focus on in this market, right? What made you successful to start so that when I get there, I know at least the direction I need to take, right? It's even better that they're non-competing services that they can really learn from each other in every market they open up together. And I mean, it's invaluable. If you're a single business owner, you can only hope you have a friend that could help you and really
some insight.
Right. And how good is that information? You can't validate that. When you have a business, you have true success on paper. It's right there.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's amazing.
And I can't wait to show it. So anybody out there, if you're interested in purchasing a Refresh franchise, refreshfranchising.com. You probably heard the ad during this podcast.
Refresh, man.
Yep. Oh, you've heard. Okay.
I've heard it.
Yeah,
Not at this podcast yet, but I will.
I gotta mix that one up. I think I gotta make a shorter version. I think it's too long. At least the middle segment.
Yeah, it's not too bad. I never sat there going, all right, are you done yet?
Yeah.
No, I haven't yet.
Well, you will because it's on every episode. That's another reason to mix it up. Yeah,
it is nice to have something different. I will tell you, when I watch Hulu and I'm streaming something, I get that same damn Ford ad over and over again. I'm like, all right.
I know, or a Dove commercial or something, right? Thank you. Okay, I've seen the puppy or the baby or whatever 300 times.
Yeah, I've got 2, the Ford and the Progressive ad. They give you 3 options to select, but I've already seen
on everything streaming.
Yeah, exactly. So, but you get 3 options, although I've seen those 3 options 40 times. Like, I'm like, give me some more options.
So, Jason, the book, I want to make sure we mention the book that you were talking about you were going to give me. Do you know the title of the book?
It's Prep for Success.
Prep for Success.
Yeah.
And the author?
Paul Trapp, Steve Davis, the 2 founders of EventPrep.
So I'll make sure I take a picture when I get the book,
Great.
And we'll put that on screen for the audience.
That'd be awesome. Yeah. They were amazing. Amazon bestseller when it came out. I'm in it, so it makes it better, right? I mean, you get a good couple pages of me, but it's kind of my story and how I came through life and met them and just became successful because of them.
I appreciate you coming on the show. Do you want to tell them where they can find you and, give a little shout out for EventPrep?
Yeah, that'd be great. Easiest way, our website, eventprep.com/Jason Horowitz. That's HOROWITZ. Or just email me. I'd love to direct connect and don't even bother going through the website, but it's jhorowitz@eventprep.com. But yeah, that's how you can reach me. I'm not available 24 hours, as we were saying. We add our quality of life now that we own our own business kind of thing. But I will respond to you as soon as I wake up. But I'd love to work with anybody in this franchise community, anybody who hears this podcast. I love what I do, and you'll see the passion come out with the work I do for you.
I appreciate it, man. I look forward to working with you in the future.
Can't wait.
And thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
All right.
I'm Refresh Man, and I'm here to empower you to take charge of your destiny. Are you tired of working for someone else? Do you dream of making a difference in your community and unleashing your full potential? Then look no further than Refresh Franchising. With us by your side, you can start your own heroic business venture with the unwavering support and cutting-edge resources you need to conquer your goals. Our franchise model is like a super serum that will give you the strength to succeed. Refresh provides extensive training, ongoing mentorship, and an established brand with a loyal customer base. Plus, you'll become part of a heroic league of entrepreneurs who serve as allies on your journey towards greatness. And the best part, you won't have to waste time building your business from scratch like some kind of neophyte. With Refresh Franchising, you'll hit the ground running at lightning speed and unlock the key to heroic financial success. So gather your courage, summon your inner superhero, and visit refreshfranchising.com to launch your heroic franchise journey. Always remember, together, we can achieve greatness.